In reflecting on the scriptures this morning, I'm moved to remember Psalm 89, verse 16. You'll recall that the text says, "They are lifted up and encouraged by your righteousness." Jeremiah in Jeremiah 9, 23, 24 cautions us that in the tradition of the Israelite religion, which is the author of our Christian faith, that there are only three things you can boast of rightfully. The first is of God's loving kindness, the second is of God's right relationship, and the third, God's justice. So sandwiched in between love and justice, we find, again, right relationship, often shorthand for righteousness. There are three thoughts that come to mind about righteousness or right relationship. The first is that this right relationship is actually the sign of hope for the people who hear Psalm 89 when it was first written, and for us. It reminds me of Martin Buber's I and Thou. That is to say, this relationship between I and Thou is an intimate interconnection, never to be able to be broken. The second thought that I have is that in looking at the right relationship in the era of COVID-19, of pandemics and health epidemics, we find that actually this right relationship is the thing that urges us to wear masks and to keep safe spaces and to care for one another with shared resources. You see, the right relationship becomes a way of seeing beyond politics into the hope which is actually resting in one another and in our relationship. And the last thought that comes to mind this morning, as I think of God's righteousness, God's right relationship, is how people of good faith who say Black Lives Matter and people of good faith who say all lives matter are each approaching this sentence from the end, but not seeing the middle and the connection. For if it is true that Black Lives Matter and all lives matter, then the real sentence is Black Lives Matter means all lives matter. And all lives matter must mean Black Lives Matter. For we are forever joyfully and blessed by right relationship and lifted and encouraged by God's righteousness, by God's right relationship.